I feel like we need a light at my feet to shine on my face. What's up, guys? I hadn't been here in a while. It's great to be back. I've been a little busy. We got our apartment complex in Coleman bought. We're $100,000 into the rehab of it. Got 8 units ready. I don't know how we're doing on budget. I'm kind of a little worried about that. Maybe, probably not. But anyways, we're getting the units leased. We're having a great time. Yesterday, some big news hit that we're having a rate increase, and I just thought, what better thing to talk about than sit down with Ryan Harper and talk about that. So we're going to go through that as soon as we get back. Appreciate it. Ryan, man, how you been?
Good, buddy. How are you, bud? I feel like I haven't seen you in ages. It's been at least 4 weeks. Like, I forgot there was a Thursday. I forgot, oh, it's a Christmas party.
Hey, one of those days I was locking up our latest mobile home purchase in
That's
Tyler.
acceptable.
So
yeah.
We've got that mastermind going on in Tyler. Shameless plug. January 5th. So
Pat, you're watching. Drop a link to it, buddy.
Dude, we locked that deal up one day when I was supposed to be here. It was me and Witherspoon sitting at Starbucks in Tyler, and I was like, the seller's really old. He's a really good guy. Like, I like him a lot, but he took our whole day up. Like, we went out there to get it under contract, and then we had to go to his house and like rub his feet. Like,
hey, shit, you can buy my house if you can rub my feet.
We got it locked up. 5% interest or 6% interest, 15-year loan, $50,000 down, a $900,000 asset for $450,000. So double equity, huge asset for us because it's going to pay us probably about $5,000 a month after everything, and that's going to allow us to hire another bookkeeper. So
another bookkeeper? That's a fun day. Well, you got our big old whiteboard out. What are we talking about today?
The Fed's hiked interest rates.
Okay.
I seen you share a post about it. Are you concerned?
Here's the thing is, I am not the best person to talk about. One, it's been a couple years since I've had an economics class. Two, I am not as active in the market as, say, like yourself. You know, got 2 houses now, buying another one Friday, and the 2 I have now are going out the door here in about 2 weeks.
Yep.
You know, because again, as stated many, many times, 120, 150% all Propelio. So it's hard to do traditional real estate investing.
Well, let me tell you what the last month of our life has been like. So we got approved for a loan, okay, knew the loan amount, knew everything about it, and then our banker quit. I mean, a lot of people's banker quit. He went on to bigger and better things. I'm not mad at him, but it was a big loan. It was a big loan for our company. Like, we were getting $230,000, $240,000 that we needed to do our remodel on our Coleman apartments, and we already got approved for it, so we started doing work and kind of was emptying out our bank account. And then it's like, hey, by the way, guys, we're going to hold off on doing this loan. We want you to meet the new banker. And we're like, does this mean we're going to get told no?
Yeah,
like,
ultimately, there's a lot of fear altogether. And it's not just the Fed hike, it's the market indicators, it's how's this. But at the same time, I would like to counterpoint that for every news article that's coming out saying, oh, something bad, there's another one saying, hey, it's not that bad. Like, we were talking about the mortgage rates. Like, mortgage rates are a 3-month low right now.
Right. Well, I don't know enough about that. I'm just going to say, I'm just going off my personal experience. We've got a small community bank that loans us money. That is our lifeblood. You know what I mean? So whenever I look at I didn't even know the market was crashing until I went out to my dad's house. Not everybody knows my dad, but he like watches Fox News 24/7. He's that kind of guy. And I love my dad, but when I got out there, he's like, the stock market's doing bad. And I'm like, oh.
It's going to do a lot worse tomorrow.
Well, I just thought, I'm like, what does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, what does that mean for our bank? Because I told you before we went on air that a friend of mine used to be the vice president of our small bank in town, and his job was to buy stock for the bank. So they would hedge their loans in the stock market with money that, whether they would sell loans or whether they would buy stock and preferred.
So one thing I do want to point out, and this is not a political show, this is all real estate, but it does make you take consideration that you do need to take into account other things that are happening out there. Like the reason I said the stock market's going to do bad tomorrow is, I don't know if you heard on the news today, but Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis, he resigned today in a kind of a political, turmoil, whatever. But it just happened today. So the markets, the stock markets, they're going to be affected tomorrow. This is not a stock market show. I'm not going to say I know anything.
And I don't know.
But the market is going to be bad tomorrow.
So this is
real estate.
This is what it made me do. When I seen people sharing it around and they started offering their expert opinions on it, I want to know more about it.
Right.
So I want to know everything about everything that I can figure out. So I start reading.
You Googled it.
Well, I didn't start reading news articles. I started reading how banking works.
Right.
Because fractional reserve banking is a term that I've heard, and basically it says, and this is just a loose definition, the way it works is for every dollar you got in the bank can loan out 9, right? But that's not exactly how it works, okay?
They're just making up fake money.
Well, no, it's not that way. Like it's, I watch video after video after video. I read paper after paper. I listened to economics majors talk about this because I really wanted to understand what a bubble is, what all of these things mean. And what I came to was it's actually better for us, our business, not necessarily the house flippers business, but when they raise the rates like this, what it does is people have their money in the stock market because that's the only place they can actually grow money. That's my phone going off. That's the only place they can grow money when interest rates are basically zero, right? They can't put it into a CD. They can't put it into a conventional, any of that, because they can't grow it. They can't put it in the bond market. They can't put it in any of those places. Now, I don't know anything about that stuff, but I do know I need my bank to loan me money if I want to make money. So I brought out a whiteboard, and I'm going to tell everybody what I learned about fractional reserve banking and what all of this means and how a bubble is created, how money is created. You know, we hear about our government printing money all day.
Yeah.
It's not actually our government printing money. It's fractional reserve banking printing money.
I just want to point out that, I know this is Redneck Real Estate or Redneck Economics, Roughneck Real Estate, and Corey loves to have this persona of just being I'm just normal dude and I got the sweatpants. But if you have ever, can you imagine, Corey, we all know that you're smart, but to use the words fractional reserve banking,
it's something that is
like, I think if you were surprised to hear those words come out of Corey, please hit that like button, get that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and show Corey love with how smart he really is.
Look, I'm probably going to fuck this up. In the comments section, y'all are going to be telling me this guy don't know shit. But here's what I do know. I know what it takes to get my bank to loan me money.
That's all that matters.
And this is just going to be basics. I'm going to break it down and explain it the best way I can. I'm going to start from the root. I'm going to work my way up, and Ryan is going to keep me on track.
I'm gonna look at the comment section, and it's been a minute since I've been in economics class. So if I have questions,
look,
I will play the role of dunce in the class and be like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Share this video, get it out there. We're going to go to commercial. When we come back, I'm going to be on the whiteboard. You want to go? You want to go?
Are we ready for commercial?
I just want to get on the whiteboard. You want me to get on the whiteboard? I'll just stand up. Go.
Yeah, go for it. We don't
All
need
right,
a commercial.
so here's what I want to show you. This is my handwriting is really bad, so forgive me. All right, and this is going to be. We're going to go down into a rabbit hole, and I'm going to get lost several times. And Ryan's going to point out when I get lost. He's going to be like, "Wait, back up."
Wait, real quick. I just want to ask Trey. Did we already do the intro or not? Okay, cool. Then yeah, keep going.
Okay, so here's what I want to show you. All right, fractional reserve banking. This is the basic way that I can explain it, because everybody says there's an infinite amount of money. There's no shortage of money. That is 100% false. There is a set amount of money. And one of the things that I heard somebody theorize about today, that the interest that is paid on a loan is a perpetual cycle of, if the bank doesn't loan more money, there's this much money in the world. Let's say it's $100, right? Money, just something that's created out of thin air. $100 in the world. They made this money using this technique, and the manual was wrote by the Fed in 1913. I went really deep into this, really deep into this. And I'm going to explain it the best way that I can. But the way that money was created was this. It was created out of debt. The Federal Reserve wanted some money, okay? Federal Reserve is the big bank here in the U.S. So they said, look, we're going to do something. We're going to create paper money. We're going to create money. They went to the federal government and they said, hey, we want to create this thing called money. And the government said, great, you buy these bonds, we'll give you back treasury notes, okay? So they gave them bonds, they got back treasury notes. It was basically debt on both sides. Nothing exchanged hands, nothing. Just two pieces of paper. One of them was treasury notes, which are your dollars that are in your pocket, which I only have like one of. And the other was a bond, and that was it. And all of a sudden, the Federal Reserve had money. This is how it works. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to make it $1,000, okay? So it's $1,000. $1,000 created out of thin air with two entities exchanging paper that said $1,000 now exists.
I do want to throw one thing out there, and I know you're not talking about it right now, but it's not thin air because it may have been created, but it still has value. And we're not talking about value right now. We're just talking about the creation of it, right?
Yes.
Because up until 1970, the dollar was attached to the gold standard.
We're not going to talk about
the gold.
We're not going to talk about the gold standard because the gold standard does not have any relevance. Look, everything is supposed to be backed by that, and it's supposed to be regulated, and it's a hedge.
Up until 1970.
Up until 1970, but it don't even matter. The Fed didn't exist until 1913. The Federal Reserve didn't exist until 1930. Andrew Jackson, a president, this is a great history lesson, basically abolished the central bank during his presidency. He said to fuck with it. It's out of here. It's gone.
Is that a direct quote?
I don't know.
There needs to be a meme with Andrew Jackson saying
to fuck with it. When they created this, they wrote a manual, and I don't remember what the manual was called, but basically you can go read this manual, and it's in lawyer language, so you probably won't understand it. You'll have to go watch 100 YouTube videos like I did to get better clarification. But now we got $1,000, okay? The $1,000 is deposited into a bank, all right? $1,000 in the bank. This manual that they wrote, that I don't remember what it's called, says that now that they have $1,000, they can loan out 900 of it. Mm-hmm. They have to keep 10% in reserves. So you've got $100 still in the bank. And they loan 900 of it, and we'll just draw a line right here. Mm-hmm. They loan 900 of it to Ryan, okay? This could be any bank in the world. It doesn't really matter. They loan it to Ryan, $900. What do you need to buy? You gonna buy a TV? You going to Best Buy?
I want to buy a mobile home park.
Okay, so they loan it to Ryan, $900. He spends it on a mobile home park with Travion. Travion, you can camera over to you. Travion takes the $900. What does he do with it? Where do you think he goes with the $900? What do you think?
Well, what he would really do, or in this example? I'm just kidding, Trey.
In this example, like, what do you think he did with it?
He invested like a good person.
Okay. He didn't invest it. He put it in the bank.
Oh, there you go.
So now the 900's back in the bank. Okay. Now remember, this thousand. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Is still here.
Right.
It still exists.
Because I still owe 900, and the 900 I gave Trey put in the bank.
Right.
And he can do whatever he wants.
Well, the 1,000's still here because the Fed or whoever can call this due and take it.
Right.
But now there's 900 in the bank. So how much money's in the bank now?
1,900.
1,900. What does the Federal Reserve say?
10%.
10%. So you got to keep 190 in the bank. And it just keeps going. And it perpetuates itself over and over again. And it doesn't matter how many goods and services are exchanged. The money ends up back in the bank at some point, unless you're El Chapo putting it in your mattress.
Right.
Okay. And it ends up back in the bank.
So are you going to talk about the Great Depression and run on banks and why that happens?
No. I just want to show.
Well, just because we're here, just because it's interesting, this is why the Great Depression happened not why it happened, but when you have a run on the banks, if you have $1,000 in there and you go and I go in there wanting to get my and Trey wants his 900, you want your 1,000, he wants his 900, but y'all go back and there's only 190 there. You're not getting your money, Trey's not getting his money, and then everybody's like, where the hell's my money?
It's insured.
And that's a run on the bank.
But it's insured by the Federal Reserve up to $250,000.
Right, but in the 1920s when everybody was hitting the run on the banks,
no, those were run on the banks. Those were on the banks. There was no money. It's calamity. But this is What we're learning right now, or what we're watching before our eyes, is money be created. When you talk about the government printing money, the government doesn't print money. Debt prints money. More economic activity prints money. So when they raise interest rates and everybody gets scared, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you know, it's going to be economic downfall." People pull their money out of the stock market during that time because they know that if Ryan is paying more money when he finances a truck or a car, he's going to have less money to buy iPhones, right? So that is the economic slowdown that everybody's talking about. What does it mean for us as real estate investors? If I'm paying extra points on my loan, right, I can't buy at 80% of value, but I can still buy at 60% of value. I can still buy at 70% of value.
You just have to change up your strategies.
Well, if raising interest rates, if you're not already underwriting your deals to where you can go through a big interest rate raise, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points, you're not buying deep enough anyways. You're over leveraged as it is. And that's the cautionary tale of not going to 80%. But the cool thing about real estate is, and this is why I don't think it affects, and we're getting way off subject, but this is why I don't think it affects landlords at all. Here's what happens if they adjust my rates, right? So they adjust my rates. I went and underwrote my own $1 million loan and saw just what this 0.25% raise would do. It's $300 a month.
Real quick, couple of shout outs. Jason Holmquist, he did, I guess he Googled the quote, and he said to fuck with it was a direct quote. This is accurate. So thanks, Jason.
That's Andrew Jackson. We'll get it on a shirt. We'll get it on a shirt. To fuck with it, with a picture of Andrew Jackson.
Anyway, sorry, I had to.
That's really good. So what ends up happening if I'm buying a deal, okay, and I'm worried about this rate increase? What I need to be worried about is my tenant's ability to pay rent, right? But I'm not going to have any lack of tenants if I'm not at $5,000 a month tenants. If I'm at $600 a month tenants, a rate increase is going to do nothing but push more people into my bracket.
Right.
But if I'm worried about that rate increase, if I'm worried about that $300 a month on my $1 million loan on, say, 32 units, how much do I have to raise their rent to get that $300? Like $10 a month per door? No, that's $3,000. I don't know. Yeah, whatever it is. I can raise rent $10 a month. That's why real estate's inflation proof. Now,
because if you're targeting a demographic that has to rent, and there has to be, you have a product that that has to sell, basically. People need.
Yeah, no, it has to. But if I'm a house flipper, if I'm a real estate agent,
that's a different story. Yeah.
It's a different story because now I'm getting buyers that are payment buyers. Everybody in the world's a payment buyer. I don't care if you're owner finance or not, you're a payment buyer, and they can afford less home. And maybe they're a little bushy, and maybe they're a little entitled, and they don't want to buy less home. They just want to wait to buy a home, right? So now there's less buyers in the market. Or they can no longer afford your Taj Mahal flip, but they're going to settle and go to something else. So you just invested all this money. Now your holding costs go up and days on market extend, or your equity evaporates overnight because since there are less buyers in the market, since less people can afford that monthly payment, now you have less buyers in the market, so your home equity goes away. None of that affects landlords, though. It doesn't affect me on my commercial loans. We just did a loan. I'm going to show it to you because this is very, very important, and this is how it works in our own company, okay? And I'm going to show you how money is literally created and how lendability is literally created through this method we call the Burr method. Now, what people end up doing is we just pulled $204,000, got $204,000 out of a property, okay? Now, I could go buy a Lambo. I could go do anything I wanted to do with that $204,000. I prefer to stick it in the bank. Why do you think I prefer to stick it in the bank, Ryan?
I wasn't listening.
Fractional reserve banking. Fractional reserve banking. I want to keep the bank's deposits up. So this is where this money comes from, okay? Our rents when we bought this property was $600 a month, okay? We raised them to $1,250. Okay. The rule of 10, I call it the principle of 10. I don't know. For every $1 in income equals $10 in value. Okay. That's on a per year basis. Now, when I raised my rents from $600 to $1,250, did I incur any more expenses for that?
No, but you artificially created value.
You say artificially. The appraiser the appraiser, we bought this thing for $420,000. Okay, bought. I'm gonna put bought. After we did all of our deals, it appraised for $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
We added, I can't even spell appraise, but $1 million. Okay, we borrowed $665,000 against it. All right, this is important. Okay, we had to pay the taxes. I think we paid the insurance, so we ended up walking with $214,000 over the top of this after interest, everything. $214,000, and we put it right back in the bank. Okay, so we put $214 in the bank, and I'm gonna. Can you see this all the way over here, Travion?
Yeah.
Because this is very, very important. $214K. Okay, and I'm going to show you because this is why you need to understand the backside of banking. This $420 that we had borrowed against it, we moved to another property that we only owed $155,000 against it. Okay, we paid off the 100. So, long story short, we're getting $170,000 borrowed into the bank from the refi for moving this money onto another property. So we're getting $170K. Okay. We're getting a second lien position for $250,000 for the rehab on Coleman, and the city of Coleman is going to give us $300,000. It's going to take 60 days to get it, but right now we're going to get $250 to float us until then. So we're getting $250,000. Okay. Somebody add this up.
It should be 380 plus 250, which is 630. 634.
All right, 634. So we're putting an additional $634,000 into our bank before we ever get our money from the city of Coleman, okay, which is going to wipe out that $250, okay? So we put $634,000 in the bank. Mm-hmm. When we do that, the money should be there by the end of next week. What we're going to do is we're going to go in for a loan for our big apartment complex that we put $400,000 down, and we're going to pull that $400,000 back out. So we'll put $400K in the bank right here. Mm-hmm. $1 million. Pulled out of equity from value adds that we did to the property. So my handwriting is really bad, but what that million means in the bank, what that million means sitting in the bank for us is now we can borrow more money.
Right.
We can borrow with that million by the bank standards. We can go $7.5 million in debt is all. That's where they're going to cap us at. But it doesn't really matter because by then we're going to put more money in the bank because we're going to keep pulling equity. We're going to go about 60-70%, and all of this is at 20-year AM. I'm going to erase this. As we underwrite this, we don't pull any of them to 80%. We pull all of them to 60%. 60% is our goal. That allows of loan to value, LTV, okay? 60%, this value add right here goes the other way too. Every dollar you lose, it goes down $10. So if rent starts softening on this property, if we have to start going down, then the value of the property goes down. When the value of the property goes down, as you get closer to that LTV, or debt service coverage ratio, this is a word you need to know, debt service coverage ratio. As you click, the bank wants to see a 1.25. Go Google that. Figure it out on your own. Mm-hmm. But as you get closer to that, you know, this one's like a 3, so it don't even matter. But as you get closer to that, you're going to see that's when they start calling notes.
That's why, like, when you hear like the power of leverage, before we were talking about that's the power of leverage. The negative side of leverage is what you're talking about right now. Right. Where if it goes the other way, it's like you start getting margin. It's not margin call, but
it is a margin call. It is a margin call. So let's say we got a 3-year loan. They continue to raise interest rates. Interest rate ends up around 5-6%. We're at 7% on this loan right here. They gave us 7% interest today. 20-year AM, 3-year revisit, which means in 3 years we're going to revisit the loan, and they're probably going to raise our interest rate 7%, and they raise it to 9%. You know, somebody do the math on that $665,000. I don't know if y'all can look at it.
I'm just kidding.
Anyways, but we can underwrite this and we can go. I mean, The way that we can, before we get to a 1.25 debt service coverage ratio, the interest rate gets insane. It gets all the way to like 15%. I don't even know where it goes to, but it gets out of sight. That's not what you got to worry about. What you got to worry about is these rent softening. And I'm not necessarily worried about the rent softening. You know, it is in an oil field community. We could go all the way down to 600, back down to 600, and this deal still works. This deal is phenomenal at 600, even leveraged at 665. The interest rates go up, then it wouldn't be phenomenal. You know what I mean? But you kind of look at it from two different directions. Can I lower my rents? Can I absorb an interest rate?
Right.
Am I going to have to do both? I would say if interest rates are going up, that this rent right here, it's not going to be something you're going to have to worry about, because there's going to be more renters in the market. There's less buyers. There's a lot more renters, though.
And the thing about this is you're buying a product that has basically a guaranteed revenue stream. What happens when you have somebody buying a product and they're leveraged to the hilt, and then they're doing this model, but maybe it's more speculative. And if the strategy is, well, I can always sell and cash out on something and rethink. The problem with that thought process is, what if there's nobody in the market to buy your stuff, and then you're just completely gone?
Well, and the thing about it, like, I look at some of the rent rates that people are getting here. I look at the 1% rent, like the people that buy at 1%, and they're buying a different thing than I'm buying. They're buying for that appreciation. They're buying a speculative asset that they think that since they've got X number of dollars in equity, it's going to increase in value, and down the road they'll be able to sell it, and a tenant is buying them an asset. I'm buying for equity, and I'm buying for cash flow. I need that 40% equity. I need that 40% equity. I got to have it. Some of our stuff's only going to be leveraged at 40%. This deal that we're getting $400K out of, it's going to be.
And I do want to throw a disclaimer, though. It's like you have a strategy where you're doing things that nobody else is doing, and what I mean by that is most people, and you know this, aren't willing to drive, the hours and the days that you're, or go the where you're going to buy stuff.
They are 100% worried about property management. They're not worried about, that was our same fear. We didn't want to be landlords. Now we're a property management company. From that side of things, it's like we have an iPhone app called Appfolio. I can literally pull up our work orders. I can lease properties from it right here. It makes it more manageable. It makes it more streamlined. It makes it where you don't have issues. Witherspoon does our maintenance right now. He's just kind of a plug in there. He gets a work order. Bless his heart. We find out that we bought a property and they don't even have heaters in there. They're using like a gas stove, and then they ran out of gas and stuff like that. But we're able to get that work order through the app. Witherspoon's able to get a plumber to go out there and fix their heater, hook their gas lines up, get them back going again. And it's really easy. I don't have to mess with it, in other words.
Right.
And I can hire. We're going to end up hiring a permanent position for Witherspoon. Witherspoon don't want to do this forever, but he's enjoying it right now because he's getting to learn about the worst part of property management, which is tenants. Not tenants, but
the people.
Work orders. No, it's not. Like tenants, tenants are actually the biggest blessing of property management because, listen, everybody needs a place to live. If you underwrite everything in this low budget rent, which I would say is probably $1,000 or less, it's really hard to kill that demand.
What I find fascinating, though, is in going back to a lot of stuff that you can do, is because there is such a negative connotation or a stigma to mobile homes. But if you back up, I mean, most people wouldn't be thinking that $1 million plus business when it comes to mobile homes. They just think, shit pipes and trailer trash and crystal methane and all that stuff.
Dude, it's been the most amazing thing, learning process for us, because we didn't know this when we got into it. Until we seen that first non-cap appraisal, which we're going to go over in depth at that mastermind, I would have never, I didn't know how to do any of this. I didn't realize any of this. I didn't understand this language. I didn't speak it. I didn't know this is the direction we were going. And I didn't know it was possible to pull $1 million out of a portfolio within a year. If I would have said, hey, look, do you want to move into an RV for 2 years and you'll become a millionaire, or you'll have $1 million waiting for you?
Hell yeah.
But I can go and I can tell people about it all day, and they're like, oh, bro, it sounds like work, man. I don't know. It's like when it gets up to it, it's like, hey, I got to go do this.
Right.
it really backs off, and then you get out there and you get a little nervous or scared. We got questions?
No, well, there is a question. Let's do a question and then get to a break and then come back. Jason was asking, newbie question, if you have a fixed rate and the Fed raises the rate, does that mean your fixed rate goes up?
No.
It's a fixed rate.
It's a fixed rate. And look, I don't really know. None of us have enough experience. There's a gentleman that came up here that does mobile home parks. He only uses private money now. The older man out of San Antonio.
Oh, yeah.
He came in and did Propelio. He only uses private money because all of his notes got called.
In '08?
In '08. So, listen, I can't say that that's not all of our destiny. The only thing I can say is I'm like, that's our destiny. That's our destiny. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, bank wants to own a bunch of mobile home parks. We'll hand them the keys. We'll all take our bad credit. We'll start over. But it doesn't mean I'm going to quit building today for fear of what's going to happen tomorrow. You know what I mean? One of our biggest assets is we're the managers on them. So it's like even if you call our notes due, we're still going to get a property management fee because we're the managers. You know what I mean? Like, so y'all just took over all the liability and we still get a property management fee. That's the way I look at it. I don't know if that's the right way, but I'm Captain Positive. You know what I mean? Like,
well, let's get to Trey. Let's send us to show yourself, Trey. You looking so fly back there. And let's cut ourselves to a quick break and come back here in a minute and learn some more stuff.
I got my phone out because I won't be able to show y'all like I do in my little home studio. But I've got a mortgage app. Everybody always asks me what it is. It's just called Mortgages. That's all it's called. And it's a pretty clean app. It's very basic. But when this came out that they raised rates, I wanted to see what it meant for me at 20-year AM. And so I started just punching in numbers on what it would mean. On $1 billion worth of debt, it's going to cost you $208,000 a month on $1 billion. So from my side of things, I want to underwrite this deal right here in Pecos because it's very important. We get $20,000 a month in gross rents off this deal, okay? Now this is an exceptional deal. On cash flow, this deal is really like a $2 million deal. But I want to show it because I want to underwrite what these raising rates actually mean. So we're getting $20,000 per month. If I take into consideration now, that's only 8 mobile homes, so our expenses, but we pay every bill. We pay the lights, we pay the water, we pay the I don't know if we pay for the Skinamax, but we definitely pay the cable. I don't know if they got pay-per-view, but if they do, we need to look into that. They probably running up a big bill out there. But $20,000 a month, and the basis that I use is 40% for expenses, okay? That number varies because in low budget rent, so say you got $600 a month rent, and you got $1,200 a month rent, okay? How much does a hot water heater cost for your $600 a month rent, Ryan?
Probably less than a $1,200 one.
You think so?
Yeah, because less gallons.
Marginal. We'll call it marginal. Like, there's no difference. How much does a plumber charge you less?
I don't know how much hot water.
No, but does a plumber charge you to go out and fix something on $600 versus
No, they charge the same stuff.
Right. So all your expenses are the same. So really and truly, as you get into higher rent, your expenses should go down. Ours run about 40% in the lower cost rent. So
I was thinking in terms of a water heater being a small one to a big one.
Well, but this is stuff that people really don't think about when they start thinking about. Somebody throws out a number like 40% for a basis. Well, 40% of this $20,000, this is 8 mobile homes. It does not take 40% of $20,000 a month to run 8 mobile homes. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't. Hey, your vacancies, because we're due month to month, are the biggest expense here. But I'm going to break it down at 40% just to be fair to the deal. Okay. So 40% for expenses. All right. And that's going to throw these numbers way off, that 40%, but I don't really care. I want to underwrite it very conservatively. Times 0.4 is how I get that. So we're talking $8,000 a month. It actually, I don't even know.
Yeah, $8,000 a month towards mobile homes. Yeah,
$8,000 a month
seems excessive.
It's very excessive because the water bill is the most expensive thing. It's $1,000 a month. The electric runs about $700, so we're at $1,700, and then we've got probably $600 in cable, and then $50 a door. So, anyways, 8,000's way high. It's probably closer to half of that on the worst month. But
if you plan for it,
we're going to plan for it. We're going to underwrite $8,000 a month for expenses, which means we're getting away with $12,000 a month before debt servicing. Okay, before debt servicing. Now remember, we borrowed $665,000 against this property, and we're going to underwrite it just like it is. $665,000 at 7% interest for 20 years is $5,100 a month payment. Okay?
that's the debt service.
That's the debt service.
And recap debt service would be
our monthly payment.
Is that
how much
taxes?
That's
is
our
that
mortgage.
loan?
Nope,
Is that
no
insurance?
taxes or insurance. Taxes and insurance are in this expense right here.
Got it.
Taxes, insurance, vacancies, all are in this $8,000. So if
the
we have
DSCR is purely your loan payment.
our debt service, no.
Oh, sorry. Your debt service on this is
Debt service is purely loan payment. So it's minus $5,155.
Yeah, thank you for stopping me from sounding stupid.
It's all right. Look, this is really easy, kinda. All right, I'm just gonna go to my calculator so I don't look stupid, and minus this out. There's probably somebody already screaming what it is on the deal, but that's $6,800 a month in cash flow. All right. So here's what debt service coverage ratio means. Right now we got $5,155 a month. They want to see a 1.25. So if I do 51.55 times 1.25, that's $6,400 a month right here, right? So this thing would only have to cash flow, what, $1,300 a month before it's inside their range. I mean, that's a ridiculously stupid number.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot imagine, I just can't imagine being in that situation, but that's just silliness to me, okay? But I want to see what that number is because I want to eat into this basically $7,000 in profit. Like I want to eat into it. I want to eat into it by lowering rent. I want to eat into it by raising interest. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to raise.
To do that, or if it just does happen.
I want to underwrite it. I want to see what.
I was like, that doesn't sound like it's a fun thing to do.
I want to see how bad this deal can get before this deal is bad.
You're looking for, because again, you're doing, if you're doing it from not analytics, but from underwriting, you want to see a best case, worst case, worst case.
So at 60, and this is way better than any deal. I mean, this is a really, really good deal. Like this is a $2 million deal on cash flow. I mean, period. Like that's what this deal is. So we're leveraged way under that, way under that at 665. But this is also what you can get. So I'm already at 7% interest. I want to see what I can do to get my monthly payment to, let's say $10,000 a month. Let's just try to get it to $10,000 a month. I want to see what interest rate I have to get it to. At 10% interest, my monthly payment only goes up. Remember, it's $5,155. It only went up to $6,400 a month at 10% interest.
Still manageable if you're taking in $12,000.
Yeah. So I just went to 20% interest and broke the deal. At 20% interest, I'm at $11,000 a month. Okay, $11,297 a month. I just wanted to go out there and go wild, but at 15% interest, still $8,700 a month. Remember, we're collecting $12,000 a month over the top of our expenses. $8,700. And we're still collecting $12,000. That is, let's see. Let me see if I can do my math. I'm always really bad at math. But $8,700 times 1.25 is 10,870. So I'm still not at a 1.2. I'm still not at a 1.25 debt service coverage ratio, and I'm at 15% interest. Obviously, interest is not going to be an issue on this particular deal. A bigger issue could be that I end up having to lower rents down, that I end up not being able to get $2,500 a month per mobile home, which is what we're getting, which is a stupid number. That is a more likely situation. So if I'm going to eat into this, now, obviously, if something happens and I have to rent these for $1,000 a month, I'm not going to pay for their cable anymore. I'm not going to pay for the electric, and I'm not going to pay for their water.
Right.
I'm going to rent it to a family or whatever at $1,000 a month and just let them roll with it. But I'm just going to keep those expenses there because I want to be really mean to this deal and see what it's going to take to get this number down to, we're going to try to get this 60, we're going to try to eat into this with the 8 units overall. We're just going to take $5,000 of this and we're going to divide it by 8. That's $625 a month, so we could go down to about $1,900 a month before we've just really ate into it. And that's kind of, when you look at it like that, you're like, you know what I mean? Like, now I'm at that debt service coverage ratio. Could I lower the rent basically $300 a door and still make payments? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, do I like that deal? Do I want to be in that situation where I'm having to rent it?
Because I know so many people get hung up on the DSCR.
Right.
Can you just give a brief breakdown of what that means? I know we've been talking a lot about it with examples, but just super dumb it down for me, like debt service coverage ratio, and then we were talking about being 1.25.
Banks want to see
what does that even mean?
Banks want to see 1.25. So most appraisals are going to tax you 40% for CapEx. They give about 3% for CapEx. They put property management in there, which we self-manage, but it don't matter that we self-manage. They're underwriting it like they have to take it back, so they're going to have to pay for management. So they're going to tax you 40% on your expenses no matter what. I mean, you can argue with appraisers. You can get a good one. You can get a bad one. But at the end of the day, it's not up for debate, really. 40% is going to be your expenses.
Right.
Okay? So after you take that expense out, you're left over with what the cash flow is. Now,
right.
This is a really bad deal to look at debt service coverage ratio because essentially, if you've got $12,000 a month, and I'm really bad at this math. I've messed this up like 14 times when I tried this at my home video because I don't know if I need to divide right here or multiply or what. But I'm going to try it. Divided by 1.25, which will give me, yes, $9,600 a month payment. So this deal right here is still, if my payment.
What is the $9,600? What does that mean?
That is my monthly payment. That's my mortgage.
Right.
So if I have $12,000 a month in cash flow, I can achieve a 1.25 debt service coverage ratio
with up to
a
a $9,600
a month payment.
And then on this example, your mortgage payment is only $5,100.
Yes.
So that means you're basically blowing that DSCR out of the water. Like you said, this is a bad example.
This is a really bad example. But on a like
but just to really strike home what it really means is, so say you have $100 mortgage payment, you need to make $125 a month in order to get that loan?
Yes. Your NOI needs to be
that's what your
NOI needs to be $125 a month.
Right.
NOI does not include debt servicing. So you're making $25 a month.
Right.
You're paying the bank $100. And that number is so silly to me that that's where the banks like it at. But
I just want to make sure, I just want to keep it very super simple because, again, especially when people are looking at single family and then they go into a commercial deal, like bigger players, it seems like they like to throw out DSCR and just start throwing like CapEx, cap rate, this, that, just to make them. And it confuses a lot of people, and if they just slow it down and break it down like you just did, it makes it a lot easier.
We were talking about economics, but you want to send me down a cap rate rabbit hole.
No rabbit holes. Get back to what you're talking about.
Okay, so this deal right here, when I'm underwriting the economics of this deal, what makes me nervous is that I can lower rents, like but then I've got to do something about these expenses. Now, obviously, these expenses are off. We're making about an extra $4,000 a month, so. If I take this right here and I take $9,000, which would be correct on it, and I underwrite it correctly, and I divide it by the 8 mobile homes that are there. I can lower rent $1,125 a month, which is basically we can take it down to $700 a door. I've got to rent those for $1,400. I know I can do that all day long, all day long, and still achieve the debt service coverage ratio that we need to, and not be in risk of getting our loan called. But keep in mind, we're going to have cash reserves like this the entire time. Our cash reserves are our lifeline. A lot of people would take this money and they would go reinvest it, or they would go do something with it. We will have a set minimum per number of doors that will grow and grow and grow, and that account gets paid first. So as cash flow comes in, let's say we buy 40 furnaces all at once. We got 300 doors now. 40 furnaces go out, and this takes a big ass hit, right? All the cash flow feeds that account, and then we get to the quarter, and it's time for us to get paid, and the reserve account ain't built back up to the minimum. Everybody just worked for free.
Is that just so you have the ability to take the next hit, or take the next furnace, or take the next payment, or take the next AC or whatever?
What have you bought with an insurance company at large scale? Like,
no, I personally have not.
We're in the mobile home park business. Well, if we get hit by a tornado, are they going to pay us? I don't know. But I promise you this, that payment's going to come due every month. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's going to be a negative cash flow situation, and we might be finding ourselves litigating, trying to get money out of an insurance company. You don't want to be in a situation where you lose everything and you have to rebuild, and you don't have any contingency for that. None whatsoever. Now, you know that insurance companies and banks are like peas and carrots, you hope, you know what I mean? The insurance company would gladly screw us over. They don't want to go to battle with the bank. The bank's going to say, it's been destroyed, we want our money, and we're going to say, yeah, just pay the bank. We'll just keep the dirt. We'll go clean up the mess ourselves. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's the unknown of that, not experiencing it. I remember watching Grant Cardone videos whenever Hurricane Matthew, I think, was coming through, or Hurricane Matt, whatever it was, out there in Florida, and it like dead hit a Las Cruces or someplace where he had a shitload of apartments. And the only thing I was thinking was, damn, you know what I mean? Like, those people aren't going to be able to pay rent. They're not going to be able to live in their apartment. They're not going to be able, and he's got to make that mortgage payment every single month, even though it's a ghost town there. Right. You know what I mean? And so you want to make sure that you are able to take those hits. Now, we're spread out. We're diversified. I don't think there's a tornado that's going to zig all the way from Amarillo down to South Padre and wipe us all out at once.
The magic bullet of tornadoes.
Right. People talk about wanting to have 180 doors in one place, and I'm like, that's great, but I like mine a little bit spread out. You know. Yeah,
hedging your bets there.
I'm hedging my bets. I'm not tied to Amarillo's economy or South Texas' economy or San Antonio's economy. I'm tied to Texas's economy. That way, if we do have to soften rents out here, but Dallas is doing good, or Fort Worth's doing great, which Amazon's moving into that airport 16 minutes from our mobile home park. I Googled it. I was like, man, now that was lucky, because I didn't do any research. I was just like, 330,000, a bunch of shitholes and crackheads, I'm in. And then we had to evict that dude with this trailer that I told you about that we didn't get the estoppel. So this is the basic economics of how you want to underwrite a deal and want to look at what interest rates rising mean for you. And this is the magic number, this 1.25 debt service coverage ratio. But from an overall view of what I look at it, I think as interest rates go up, more people are going to move their money, are going to start hedging their bets against the stock market, because they know people aren't going to have
Bitcoin.
Money. No, they're not going to have money for iPhones, so they're going to want to pull their money out of Apple, probably not Apple, but something of that nature, and they're going to want to put it in a safe place, and buying a CD at a bank is pretty safe as interest rates go up, which means the banks have more money to loan people like us if we can put a product in front of them.
So just so I understand correctly, when the rates fluctuate, is that an indication of the DSCR, or is the DSCR fixed?
Debt service coverage ratio,
or is that like, per bank? Is like their thing?
Every 3 years or every 5 years or every 10 years, depending on what loan structure you have, they're going to revisit the loan, is what the terminology they use. They're going to come back and they're going to say, hey, look, they're going to basically get a broker's opinion, order some form of an appraisal, look at your books, look it over, and make sure that they still got this 1.25 debt service coverage ratio with where they're about to raise your rate to, right? Does that make sense? So if we have a tighter deal, if we're at 1.25,
and this is only because you have an ARM versus the fixed.
An ARM versus a fixed, and look, I don't know anybody that gets fixed. I mean, you can get them in what, Freddie, 10 loans maybe. I don't know. I've heard rumors, but we use small community banks, so we don't get fixed. We get commercial loans. They're all arms. We love them, like absolutely love them, because it's easier to get a loan. They understand our business model a lot more, a lot better. You can talk to the guy. You can talk to the actual man. You know, I met bank president, really nice guy, in my sweatpants.
Well, and going back to what Jim Glasgow was a San Antonio dude.
Yes.
Going back to what you're talking about him, like me personally, like Tim Harry is a guy I used to work with. Like in our office, we had a similar fear of the banks, mainly because when all that came in pre 2007, 2008. Tim was just rocking and rolling, having wrapped trucks, this, that, and the other. And then overnight, the banks are like, oh, by the way, we're calling our loans due, and wiped them out. So ever since then, there was that fear. I didn't experience it, but it was big enough for him. And I don't want to speak for another human being that they're afraid of, but that sentiment grew to me. So, like, I personally, like, even with Daniel, all our deals are private capital. Like, you know, that's just who we are. That's what we do. I mean, would we ever do a big bank? Absolutely, but that's just not our model. That's not what we're doing.
We have a good amount of private capital too. You know, it's like I don't necessarily want to think about it. The Dave Hill, he says go in on a bank so hard that they're basically your partner now. You know what I mean? They're carrying so much of your debt that they're tied directly to your success. Because if you fail, they fail. You know.
Quick shout out though, like if Pat, if you're watching, if you can drop a link to that podcast y'all did, because that was a great podcast.
Well, we talked a lot about this, and I mean, this is what me and Dave talk about. Like me and Dave couldn't be two different types of people. Like,
yeah, he's all fit.
Yeah, he's in shape. He's got nicer clothes. He lives in a nicer house. But we have really good mindset. Like, I love my conversation I get to have with Dave. I love that the dude texts me. You know, we bounce ideas off each other. We talk about things like this all the time because Dave's an engineer, so he loves numbers. I don't really love numbers. I just need to know them, so I go into them. But back to your question about rising interest rate and debt service coverage ratio, I'm going to underwrite a deal all the way from the back. So I'm going to take a property that makes $100,000, okay?
Annual or monthly?
NOI, annually.
Okay.
100,000, 100K, all right? And this is one of my favorite problems to solve in the world. And I'm going to break it down at a 12 cap, which means you're earning a 12% return on your investment. So I'm just going to put a percent there. 100,000 is 12% of what is the problem. We're working word problems like we're in third grade now. And
I
then
think it's 1.2 million.
Is it?
I think so.
We hope so. But
I'm just saying 12%.
And then we're going to do the same 100K NOI at a 7 cap. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to put the percent there because that's the percentage return. And I'm going to show you the difference of this loan, debt service coverage ratio, everything about it, because I want you to look at it and I want you to understand it. At 80%, we're going to max these loans out. We're going to take it to 80% of loan to value. I'm going to write that. I'm going to erase this confusing shit over here so we don't get confused.
I just know the bottom one's going to be worth more.
The bottom one's going to be worth more, but we're going to look at this. We're going to look at this at my same community bank, 20-year AM, higher interest rate loans, and we're gonna because this is what people have access to. People can come in here and talk about their non-recourse loans that they get from Freddie and Fannie. You don't have access to it. You just told me you ain't never borrowed no money from the bank. We don't have access to it yet, and we got track record. You know what I mean? It takes a while to get it. You got to have some high net worth people on your team, which we are getting, we are acquiring, but you can't go after that 35-year 4% interest, loan.
Right.
It don't exist for you. You might not have the asset class you want. You might not want to partner up with those people. You know what I mean? They might tie more strings to it than whatever. I don't know enough about it, but I know my community bank is down to ride, and I'm gonna borrow as much money as they'll give me, and then we're gonna try to find another one. So we're gonna break this down. This 100K NOI. This is NOI. Net operating income.
You okay there, Trey? I heard a big old huff.
Oh no, my back's over.
Trey, you can go the video over to you. I'll come over there and rub your back for a commercial break. All right, so we're gonna break it down at a 12 cap. We got the 100,000. I'm going to divide that by 0.12. That's how I'm going to figure out what that property's worth. Now, he said 1.2 million. I knew it was going to be on the flip side. It's 833,000.
No.
So,
my bad.
It's okay. It's okay. Look, 833K is what that property's worth. Now, remember, we're going to go all the way to 80% of loan to value. Okay. We'll do it a little bit down the road. And then the same property that if you can get it to evaluate it or appraise at a 7 cap, which it would need to be a better asset class, cleaner, all that sort of stuff. But if you can get that same $100,000 NOI to appraise at a 7 cap, I'm going to divide it by 0.07, and that's a 1.43 million,
which is more
property. Okay, now
apparently that's not as funny as it is to Grant.
What?
Well, we have a running gag where, like, when something's more profitable, like for literally like over a year, I'm like, which is more, and he gives a giggle. Got nothing out of him.
I'm sorry.
No Abbott can sell.
I'm just like I'm wondering where this thing's gonna go. So normally we don't have 7% interest on our loans. That one was because it was in West Texas. Normally we get about 6. So I'm gonna underwrite this at. I don't even know where to write this at. I'm gonna write it right here. 20-year, 6% interest. And I'm gonna show y'all, and again, 80% of loan to value. So this one's the exact same amount of money these properties are making. The only difference is one's a 7 cap, one's a 12 cap. We're gonna go into this 80% of loan to value at 833,000. So I'm going to take 833 and I'm going to multiply it times 0.8, and we're going to borrow $666,000 against this property. So 80%. I'm running out of room. I'm going to erase this shit over here. We're just going to keep going over.
You're going to take how much? 60%?
80%. We're going to max out.
You're going to max
it out. We're going to max it out because I want to show y'all debt service coverage ratio. I want to show you the difference. When people start talking about I'm taking this deal to 80%, I'm taking this deal to 80%, I'm pulling all this equity, and they're talking about a 7 cap property, I already know they're lying. Because I just know, and you're about to see why, okay? So, $666,000, I got to go to my mortgage app. We already know kind of what it's going to be. I'm at $665. I'm going to just bump this interest rate down to 6. It's going to be a marginal difference. That's a $4,700 a month payment. $4,760 a month payment. Which y'all probably can't read. Okay. This same property, exact same terms, exact same property, making the exact same amount of money. The only difference is 12 cap and a 7 cap is the evaluation. It's a $1.43 million property. It's 143 and a few zeros. And I did a $14 million property, but there it is. Same property has a $10,000 at 80% now. Oh, never mind. Hold up. I didn't do my multiplication. That ain't 80%. 1, 4, 3.
Wade just dropped a really cool hashtag I've never seen. Learn to earn. I like that.
So we can borrow 1.144 million against it. 1.144, some zeros.
Times 0.8.
No, already did the time 0.8. So it's a $1.4 million property. We can borrow 1.144 against it. That's 80%. Okay, so that monthly payment is $8,195. Okay. Now, remember, we got a $100,000 NOI. All right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look at how this debt service coverage ratio works out. $100,000 is $100,000 divided by 12 is $833 a month cash flow, right? So This one right here has a $4,700 a month payment. So we're going to divide it by 8,333 divided by 47.
You mean 8,000, not 800.
Yeah. Well, the monthly payment,
No, but you took 100,000 divided by
Yes,
12,
yes.
and you said 833.
Yes, the cash flow, we'll write it right here, is $8,333 a month. That's what that $100,000 divided by 12 is. And that's a 1.79 debt service coverage ratio, because I took this 833 and I divided it by this. Okay? So that's a 1.79. Debt service coverage ratio on the top is a 1.79. Anybody want to guess what this one is?
Probably
It's
a 1.08.
well, I tell you what it is. It's a called loan divided by 81.95 is a 1.016. And they want, the banks want
Yeah.
a 1.25. As you can see, one of these is not like the other. Now, that's not saying, when you buy this property, you need to buy it at like a 16 cap or a 14 cap or 15 cap. Then you're covered at a 12 cap, and if you get a 7 cap, you're blessed. But like that apartment complex we got in Lotto, even if it appraised at a 7 cap, we couldn't take it to 80% of loan to value, because we're going to hit the debt service coverage ratio long before we hit 80% of LTV.
So you still want the 7 cap, but you just don't try to be stupid and get an 80% loan.
You always want a 7 cap, because a 7 cap is what you can sell it for.
Right.
So you could sell this same property for $1.4 million, which is almost twice what this is.
Right.
Literally, you want it to appraise at a 7 cap, but you want to buy it at a 16 cap.
Right.
And all of this talk about raising interest rates, if you're over here as a 12 cap investor, okay, as a 12 cap investor, look at what you can do from a debt service coverage ratio. Look at how soft rents can get. Look at how much your interest can raise when you're sporting a 179 at 80%.
So basically on a 179, and if you're looking at a 125, that's like 0.54 of risk tolerance for when the shit hits the fan. If
you have to soften rents, which you probably never will in a property like this, you're not going to have to do it. This is less than $1,000 a month rent. You're going to have more renters in the market, so you probably won't have to soften rents. But if interest rates do go up, you know what I mean. This monthly payment right here, which we'll just, that was 666, or we'll do 665, but 665, and we'll just take that interest rate up, and we'll see when we'll take it to 8% interest. That's a 2% increase. We're at 55.62. We got a 9% interest, and we're at damn near 6,000. So we might be getting close to it. Let's see, 6,083. 83333 divided by 6,000 is a 1.38. So I mean, you could still, I mean, that's 9% interest. This 12 cap asset that everybody frowns at, you know what I mean, kept your ass out of trouble, because your interest rate can go from 6% to 9%, and you're still under the 125.
Right.
Or still above the 125, not under, but mine works a little funky sometimes.
Yeah.
So, does this make sense, Ryan Harper?
Yeah.
Shameless plug.
Go for it.
Tyler Mastermind, January 5th. We're going to cover the shit out of this. Pat Hilton,
we'll
my
drop
dude.
some links in the everything right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, this right here, like right now we've got 13 people watching. Y'all are some soldiers. I love the shit out of y'all. But later on tomorrow, people are going to jump on and see this, and they're going to have 100 questions, and they're going to come on here in the comment section and ask. I'm going to be driving to Pecos or somewhere, and I ain't going to be able to sit down and type them out an answer.
Yeah, so basically what he's saying is if you got questions, jump in right now.
Yeah.
We got a couple people watching on YouTube, a couple people watching on here, so if you got questions, join in. What other stuff you got plugging on? What else you got going on?
Nothing. Quentin's got his event going on. I think he moved it to the weekend of January 1st in San Antonio. I don't know if you are involved in that, but seems like it's going to be a big wholesaling. We're going to. They're giving us 10 minutes. He wanted me to cover some of this. I don't know if I can get into this in 10 minutes, but I will be out in the lobby. I'll take my whiteboard with me, and I'll sit out in the lobby and work problems all day. It don't really matter to me. This stuff right here is underwriting a deal all day, every day. Achieving this 100,000 is the harder part of the equation because. Honestly, I mean, one month we make a shitload of money, and then the next month we pay. I mean, there's one house that we bought a $4,400 furnace for, and that house won't make money for 2 years, and I'm sad about it. But you know what I mean? It's like I look at that and I'm like, that one property is cash flow negative for 2 years now because it only makes $200 a month. So that these problems and how to come up with these values is how you become a good wholesaler of multifamily properties and stuff like that. I think we just locked up 18 units at a non-cap worth $950,000, $930,000, something like that. We got it locked up for $630. 80% you could burr into that thing. You can raise rents, which NOI goes up,
right?
Value goes up. It's probably a non-cap asset.
I think the biggest lesson with tonight's episode, and you're going through this, is realizing that regardless of what the market does, whether it goes up, where it crashes, there's still room to make money in real estate. There's still ability to do strategies.
You don't think when I go negotiate with a seller right now, I'm not taking all the news that you just told me about and beating them over the head with it? Like,
you're not gonna be able to sell this tomorrow.
Ain't nobody loaning money. It just so happens my grandmama, she got a little bit of cash. I'm lucky, not like the rest of these people that grandmama ain't got no cash, and I'm ready to buy. We're gonna do a deal or not, but here's where I'm at because I know I'm not gonna be able to get a bank loan on it, which I might not be lying.
That's a huge golden nugget right there that I've never even thought of that you just dropped, and I don't know if you meant to drop it, is actually study the news. Like, if you're going to buy a house tomorrow or buy a property tomorrow, you should throw out, and again, I'm only saying this because I listened to it, that the Secretary of Defense just resigned because he's got beef with the president. The stock market's going to go crazy tomorrow. But you could drop that in a seller appointment and be like, look, no one's going to be loaning money next week.
The owner finance offer? Hey, look, you might be better off just owner financing this to me and taking it out over time because we don't know.
But,
I mean,
But the nugget I was trying to get to that I forgot to even get to after, Trey actually dropped the nugget bomb was the fact that pay attention to the news and use the news as a negotiation tactic as to generate fear to sell the property to you.
Well, look, I'm not a fear monger, but I am a realist and I am real. If I'm sitting at your property telling you I can buy it, 99% of the time I can. You know what I mean? Ultimately, it's got to be at the price that works for me, which is going to be a lot less now that the president's secretary retired or something, whatever that happened.
So we do have a couple questions. Let's see. Andre,
Donatello.
What's that?
Donatello.
No,
go ahead.
Subtle plug to Corey's Ninja Turtle shirt.
Emery wanted me to wear it.
So how can you calculate what cap rate it will likely appraise for? Is it just what other multifam units are going for in the area or blank? Honestly, that's like a whole class in its own.
It's really not. It's subjective.
You don't think?
No, because in a residential appraisal, what happens when you get a bad appraisal?
You get a new appraiser.
Do you?
You can. Or you don't care because you're going to buy it. It's a single family.
The bank, look, we did it. Single family home, $30,000 appraisal, $32,000 appraisal. We had $47,000 in it. We argued with the bank. Nope, no new appraisal. Okay. Mobile home park, Willis, Texas. Didn't like the appraiser. Called the bank, said we don't like the appraisal. Said okay, order another one. Cool. We don't like this one either. Okay, order another one. It's just $3,000 every time you make that call. but you can order as many as you want. You don't have any influence over what it is, but the whole time you're learning. Like one of those appraisals, we broke it down in a Propelio Live, shameless plug. You can go back. I broke down the exact same appraisal for the same park. One came in at a 14 cap on the same park, 2 weeks apart, okay? One appraiser appraised at a 14 cap, the other appraised at a 9 cap.
Well, Daniel, his first deal he's ever done, he talks about that where the appraiser came in, gave him bad appraisal, and then he fixed everything, and then they came back, and he's like, well, I can't do anything. So he went to the bank and ordered a new appraisal. That was a single family or a condo or whatever.
Right. Well, it works if you got multiple banks, right? Because if your bank's the only game in town, they can tell you what they want to tell you. But it's subjective. The difference between a 12 cap and 7 cap asset, I mean, our mobile home park in Fort Worth could very well come in at a 7 cap just because of location, right? Because Amazon moved in since we bought it. That could drive speculation in our favor, where they're looking and they're saying there's a new apartment complex going here, new apartment complex going here, new shopping center going across the street. There's the neighborhood's gentrifying. So it could come in closer to 7 than it could 12. But when we got the appraisal, when we bought it as is, the appraisal came in at 11% or 11 cap.
But ultimately, you just got to understand what a cap rate is. Cap rate is a way for the commercial industry to get a whole lot of data boiled down to one number.
Well, yeah, and it's up to Ryan Harper's opinion.
Right, but there's actual numbers and there's actual opinion that come down, and that's what I'm saying. It's a large class.
It's terrible. Look, every time I look at an appraisal, I learn something new, and it really is a subjective deal.
Right, because if I'm looking, so typically if you're looking at a 16% cap rate, they're like, ooh,
it's ugly.
It's an ugly property. But if you look at a 6% cap rate, ooh, that's a sexy property.
It's a sexy property, but it's not just a sexy property. It's a sexy property in an area that is getting a lot of pressure of. It's risk. Right. Risk
reward versus no risk and less reward.
And then the bank
on your monthlies.
Then the bank takes, or at least our small community bank takes the appraisal, and they basically say, okay, we agree with it or we don't agree with it. We're going to loan X number of percent against it. Now, none of that matters. What matters is your buying power. Do you think when I go to a multifamily or anything else, do you think I'm walking around with my best appraisal in my hand? I love my 14 cap appraisal. I love it because now I get to walk into a mobile home park and I get to lay that appraisal on the table and say, look, this is a 14 cap property. You, me, and I know that. And I've got an appraisal right here to back up that this is what mobile home parks are selling at, and this one's in worse shape than this one.
I need a better deal.
I need a better deal. I might be able to get it to a 9 cap, but that doesn't matter. I can haul the dead cars out. I can clean it up. I can get it to go to a 9 cap just by putting some lipstick on it, which is me and DJ going out and cleaning it up. It's what we're going to be doing all Christmas break. But they don't need to know that. You know what I mean? What they need to know is, look, I got one that came in at a 14.9, 15 cap property. I'm going to use that for my negotiation.
Right.
What else we got?
Jason Holmquist, Corey, did you say you only use banks, no private money?
No, we use a shitload of private money. I don't know, like our private money, we've got a hard money lender, our first hard money lender. He's really good to us. We use his money. We have a credit partner that loans us some money, and then we have a bunch of friends and family that have a little bit of money that we throw around. We like the private money. The private money, it's just, we haven't structured it long term yet because, a lot of the people that we borrow money from, they might need their cash back to go do their own deal or do something else. So we don't like to tie it up long term. Now, if they offered it to us long term, we would definitely take it. We just don't want to do it that way.
A couple more questions, and then we'll wrap up. Rosa Castillo, how do you get appraisal for commercial? Can you name someone you have used in the Houston area, someone that's familiar with mobile home parks?
We use the same appraiser. He's out of Austin. I don't know. Like the bank calls him. I meet him there.
If you're watching and you know somebody, drop them in the comments.
Austin James Ingram, he came in with me. He's a real quiet guy. Ducks hunt a lot, but he's a great resource. He's the one that breaks down my appraisal with me, but he knows the people to call. The company he used to work for is really good.
Yeah, and then just wanted to shout out to Sonia on the YouTube. She was one. Interesting factoid for Miss Sonia. Sonia is the only person that gave me a a birthday present.
Really?
Yeah.
What'd she give you?
A beanie that has Bluetooth headphones in it.
Really?
The only birthday present. So thank you, Sonia. Special shout out to you.
That's awesome.
I know.
Well, and look, you got a Christmas gift from somebody over here.
I know that was from TJ. He gave us some stuff that we did a video on one of the things earlier today.
Awesome.
Anyway, that's pretty much it on the questions. Any final thoughts for you? Final plugs? What do you got going on for Christmas break other than cleaning up a park? Cutting down some trees.
Yeah, we got to go trim our trees off our Lytle mobile home park or apartment complex.
Yeah.
And then we've got a dead tree in our Groesbeck Park. So me and DJ are sharpening our chainsaw, and we're going to get a man lift and go take some stuff out.
You know, and that's one thing that people need to realize is the fact that, yes, we're talking about millions of dollars over here. That is actual real world numbers. Yet, boom, you're going out and actually doing work.
Well, I like it. And I like it because I get to work with DJ. DJ's a really good kid. He's fun to work with because everything's brand new to him. He's 18. He's energetic. But this time of year, everything's real slow. Like everything's kind of slow. So we're gonna jump out there and rent a man basket and go get these trees. If we were gonna pay somebody to do it, they'd probably charge us $5,000. So it's not like low. You know what I mean? But I can do it in a day, and where can I make $5,000 that day?
Yeah.
Our whole office staff is off from Friday, from tomorrow, all the way till the 3rd of January. So, and I love it for them, like, because, but.
Yeah, I mean, we're not doing the studio, and I already told Trey, it's like, look, I mean, if you work from home we're taking, obviously, Christmas, we're taking the New Year's, but ultimately there's still work to be done, but it's not going to be like work.
No, it's the same way for us.
It's like coasting work.
For me, like, during that time, Emery always goes with her mom on Christmas. They got a bunch of Christmas traditions, and so I love that for Emery. So for me, I always just bust out a bunch of work during this time. I won't have anybody at the office to go mess with. Like, me and Whitley, I go up there and give her a hard time. Y'all probably didn't see the shirt I had made with her face on it. I'm gonna tell this story. I don't care. She brought a dude home.
Oh God. Anyway, go ahead.
So
your face makes me want to. Hey, let's wrap it up and say we'll talk later.
He wouldn't leave. He wouldn't leave. So anyways, they were dating or something, but he wouldn't leave. Like they kind of called it off, and he was like at her house, and so DJ's a big kid, but I don't blame DJ for not going. DJ's a big kid. And so she asked DJ, hey, will you go to the house and tell this dude to get the hell out of my house? And DJ's like, what? No. Like,
I wouldn't want to do that. That's not my drama.
No, yeah, he's like, I don't know, DJ's a big kid. Like, that dude would have been really scared.
I'm a big dude too, but I don't want to get no drama.
So anyways, she had to call her granddad and tell him to go down there. So her granddad goes in there like, hey, get out of her house. And like while she was at work. So when she told me that story, I had a shirt made with her picture on it that said, so fierce, my granddad will have to tell your creepy ass to leave. And I wore it around at our Christmas party.
Oh, God.
So anyways, that was
so basically the story there is be careful what you tell Corey Thompson.
Hey, me and like Whitley, like Jason says she's like the female version of me. Me and her, like, if nothing gets done when we're in the office because we're just giving each other a hard time the whole time. So it's actually better when I'm not around.
So as far as to wrap this up, like as far as what are you looking for? I know everybody's looking for deals, but what are you specifically looking for?
We're refinancing everything, the pulling the money out. We're doing deals. We're doing a bunch of hotel stuff, but we're not really looking for a lot right now. Just kind of keep our hotel business kind of running.
Doing a lot of stabilization, basically.
Not really stabilization. We're still buying. We'll buy probably one property every 2 months. But we're being really picky now. We grew really fast. We did a bunch of stuff. We're the most inefficient that anybody could be doing that because we were learning the whole time. So now we're taking those lessons, applying them on the next turns. So right now, let's say we got $3 million of private money, $3.5 million, whatever it is. We're going to roll that money over on the new assets as we refinance out, but we're going to be really picky about those assets. So this deal in Tyler that we're doing is a phenomenal deal because of the seller carry. The seller carry makes that deal unbelievable, especially now with interest rates going up. You know what I mean? We're locked in. That's a fixed rate loan, seller carry, 15 years. Great product for us. Low rents. We'll right now gross rents are about $12,000 a month. We'll raise them. They'll be about $17,000 a month when we're done. So huge value add there. That's $60,000 a year. So the 10-1 principle.
It's crazy how in this business what a year does.
That is, look, this year has been crazy. It's been crazy.
Laura Krimble, she's in Groesbeck, right?
Yes.
I don't know if you saw this posted today, and this is it's not like a shameless plug for us or Grant,
Right.
but you know, she dropped a post the other day that was probably the coolest post, and we get a lot of love.
Right.
We love the love we get, but she threw out there that in this past year, she's been able to grow $1 million portfolio solely based off of watching Grant teach me something and taking those lessons and applying them. So, and I just, again, I know that's not really relevant here,
Right.
but it's just awesome how in a year's time, I don't know why I went all
Right.
country
No,
with that
yeah.
time, but you know, in a year's time, she took the knowledge she's learning here and taking action and doing it. So just think in 2019, if you are here and you want to be there, all it does is take a little bit of knowledge and a lot of action.
One phone conversation with Dave Hill opened up this little concept that I went over about leveraging and everything, opened up our mind to it because I was in that conservative mode that you were, and I was like, we don't want to be over leveraged. We don't want to be over leveraged. And then we took those lessons and we blew this business up. Once we figured out how banks loan, what they were looking for, the questions we had to answer on this last loan, you know, like, hey, what are y'all going to do with this cash? We're going to go remodel this apartment complex. We're going to use it for our cash reserves. I'm going to buy a Lamborghini with it. No, I didn't. No, there's none of that. But you know what I mean? Like,
You rent the Lambo.
right. Well, I like look. The day Corey Thompson's in a Lambo, it's because Austin Good messed up and left the keys in it. But no, it's not. Everything that we've learned and grew this year has been amazing and phenomenal. And everybody always asks me, you know, what our connection is with Propelio. And I'm like, look, Daniel Chad Moore stood right behind that desk right there and said his biggest regret was not doing bigger deals sooner. On a Facebook Live, whenever I had time to like consume content, I was consuming it and I was like, doing bigger deals sooner. And he started laying out some of these principles, and I was started thinking about it, and I accidentally landed in mobile home parks, but the principle worked, and instantly I knew that we could replicate that, and we went to 10 mobile home parks this year.
That's awesome.
You know, could we have done more? Maybe. Could we have done less? Definitely. But we did it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we did it through a bunch of avenues, and we realized how lucky we are. But also, I mean, I got my mile IQ. I went over 95,000 miles this year. You know, first year I had mile IQ was 57,000. Second year was 79,000. So it's been, you know, I mean, we're always growing. Now this year, 2019, for me is going to slow way down because Emery's going to start school. And that's going to be, you know, I'm looking forward to it maybe. I don't know. I'm not fully adjusted to the fact that in August that I've got to have her 2 one place and pick her back up at 3. And I've got that gap in the middle that's going to drive me insane, right? I'm going to be at an office. Like, I'm not going to be able to drive to San Antonio and back during that time that she's at school. So we're going to have to adjust our lives. We're going to have to adjust our business model around it.
Right.
So there's a lot of that going on.
But I mean, if you think about it, that's this entire industry of always pivoting, always adjusting.
No, it is, but I'm looking forward to it because when she gets started in that, I want to get her in T-ball. I want to coach T-ball. Like, you know, I still want to be running deals and doing things on the weekends, but I want to be like, I'm not going to be a good T-ball coach. I already know that, but I want to be there. I want, you know what I mean?
That T-ball team is going to be the only one in the country that's going to have security just for Corey. Like,
Well,
he's overboard this time. Kick him out.
I just looking forward to being the sponsor. Like, we're gonna get to put them in some craziness. Like, what jerseys are they wearing today? And doing somersaults into the home plate and stuff. We're gonna, like, you got to dance. You just hit a home run. Dance from third to home. Now I'm playing.
Do the roughneck truffle.
Sportsmanship's out the window.
So as far as like final thoughts for the year, because you know we're to be done for 2018. What are some final thoughts? Some final plugs, some final just moto for the audience before we head out.
Look, for everybody that's out there that's just a little bit scared, whatever you're scared of, I said this on stage at the first Propelio meeting, whatever you're scared of is what you need to be going towards. It's what you need to be diving into. It's what you need to be figuring out more about. I promise you the fear that others are feeling and their experiences and everything, they're founded. They're not unfounded fears, but you don't need to let that hold you back. You don't need to let their crash and burn be what keeps you from doing what you're thinking about doing. Now, look, I'll tell you right now, don't go flip a house. I'll scream it to your blue in the face, but Ryan Jackson's very good at flipping houses. He makes a lot of money doing it. You know what I mean? I don't want to build that system. So don't let Corey Thompson tell you, hey, don't go flip a house. You go figure out why I don't want to flip a house and then try to avoid those same mistakes.
Yeah, ultimately, again, we say all the time, it's all about being creative and just finding your niche and finding what your talent. Because, you know, I say all the time, like, this is the wild, wild west where you basically could do whatever the hell you want to do.
Well, we did sub 2. We were heavy into sub 2. We love sub 2. And now we're like, man, we just closed on a sub 2 yesterday, and I hope it's our last one ever. Not because they aren't good. They were very good to us. You know what I mean? But because the time that it takes away from the property management company. You know what I mean? We've got 4 foreclosures going on right now, which isn't that big of a deal, but it pulls time away. Right. And the sub 2s don't pay us enough to where we can hire somebody to watch after them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we're fighting a guy that's in bankruptcy. There's just all of that. But on the flip side of that, we're evicting 9 people out of some stuff that we just bought. So for us, the treadmill never ends. You know what I mean? It's pick your poison. What do you want to do? You know, I like
Find
it all.
what you like.
Well, it's not that. Like, right now, you have to do what you have to do. It's right. You know, when you're starting out, it don't matter what it is in front of you. That's what you got. You got to figure it out. Now, I'm not telling you go buy a bad deal. Please don't do that. But figure out what makes that a deal and why it's a bad deal. Get it locked up. Get it in front of as many people as you can. Listen to what they're telling you and figure out why they're telling you. They might be trying to pump fear in your marketplace because they want your deal. You know, that's not necessarily what happens, but that'll be how you feel about it, right? But listen to everybody. You know, people will come in. I've done 100 deals that nobody else would touch and made money on them, right? But I listened to every one of them, and then I went back to the seller and I was like, hey, we got to get this price down to here. And then we made money. You know what I mean? So do what you're afraid of right now, and whatever's in front of you, work and figure it out. Reach out, ask questions. You know, for a long time, I was consuming y'all's webinars before the studio and everything else, learning how to do this. Taking action on it, though, was like as soon as the webinar would hang up, I was in motion. I was going towards whatever it was. Like, how do I figure this out? Appointment of substitute trustee, y'all's list for appointment of substitute trustee that y'all sell, shameless plug, you got it in Waco and everything else now. But I was driving courthouse to courthouse, pulling those lists for, I don't know, I'd do that 3 or 4 days a week. 3 or 4 days a week, I would drive 5 courthouses a day, because I didn't know how to do it online. I look back and I'm like, that was a crazy person. But we bought a lot of sub 2s off of it. You know what I mean? Because we were the only people looking in Navarro County, in Kaufman County, and all those counties that y'all weren't doing then. I don't know if y'all are doing them now. But
we're in the process of.
But anyways, we were pulling those records ourselves because y'all told us where it was at and how to do it. You know what I mean? Y'all sold it for these counties, but we didn't invest in these counties. We invested in the outlying states. So we did all of that, but it was all through action. It wasn't, nothing was handed to us.
So on that note, I think we're going to say Merry Christmas, have a good night. Trey, do you want to say Merry Christmas, have a good night?
Merry Christmas.
There he goes. Trey says Merry Christmas. So again, last Roughneck of the year.
Trey loves his 2019 calendar.
Well, thank you for so this will be so I guess this will be my last time on the Propelio TV for the year. So Merry Christmas, have a good year. And this is your show, so I'll let you sign off.
Hey guys, y'all have fun, be careful. Go out there and do something tomorrow. This time, look, I'll tell you one thing about this time of year. Like January, it's time to go, because when spring gets here, if you're going to wait till spring, you're already behind. Like January, the holidays are over, the excuses are out the window. No more family time. Get on it, start grinding. And Quentin's got an event in February 1st, San Antonio. Look it up. We've got ours in Tyler.
Did you ever get your
January
10X tickets?
I did not get my 10X tickets. Our deal has not closed that we're going to buy the 10X tickets with.
So you saying I bought tickets because you told me to get tickets and you're not buying tickets?
I'm buying tickets.
Because shit, this is going to sign off with our cameras being flown around.
No,
that shit's expensive.
Are you going to 10X?
Yeah.
Travion, you going to 10X?
I want to.
All right, we'll talk about it when we get off camera.
All right. Y'all have a good night, guys.
All right,
Merry
later.
Christmas. Happy New Year.
Yes, sir.